Do y'all want to know the truth about January 6th? Let's talk about it. So, in today's video, I want to go over the truth about January 6th. I know this has been covered a lot, but I feel like there is a lot more that just needs to be discussed that nobody's talking about anymore. It's like it's just disappeared. Everybody used to say this stuff was a conspiracy theory, stuff like that, but now it's just all of this stuff is coming out about January 6th and nobody's talking about it. I don't understand it. Everybody's arguing, like you have Destiny arguing that it was an insurrection, that Donald Trump was a part of that insurrection. I highly disagree. I watched his entire speech, and there was nothing that would say that he incited an insurrection. The first thing I want to go over is the definition of what an insurrection is. So, per Merriam-Webster, the definition of an insurrection is an act or instance of revolting against civil authority or an established government. So if we're going by definition what an insurrection is, why was nobody charged as an insurrectionist? Why was nobody in the riots during the George Floyd riots in 2020, 2019? Why was nobody charged with an insurrection?
Police shoot us on the roof.
The Richmond Police Department.
Damn. Oh, I ain't scared. Homie, let's go. They deep. But like I said, we can... Don't want to eat, no?
In Portland, Oregon, they were destroying the federal courthouse there. By definition, that would be an insurrection. Was anybody charged with being an insurrectionist? No, they weren't. Was anybody charged with being an insurrectionist on January 6th? No, they weren't. So if nobody was charged with being an insurrectionist, how are you going to charge Donald Trump or say that he was a part of the insurrection? You know why nobody was charged as being an insurrectionist? Because they all knew that they could not get away with that. There was over 1,200 people charged in January 6th. The FBI used phone data. They used all kinds of means to try to find these people and charge them. The people that did attack the police and they broke stuff at the Capitol, I agree they should have been charged. Criminal damage to property, whatever their statute is in Washington, D.C., I have no idea what it is, but Yeah, I would agree that you charge them with that. But the thing is, in Washington, D.C., they don't even charge their own criminals, but yet there's a 100% conviction rate with the January 6th participants. It's just like with Fani Willis in Fulton County. Fani Willis doesn't even charge the criminals that she has there, but then she's trying to charge Trump with a RICO act. It makes no sense. It baffles me the way that all this stuff is going down. Another topic that I want to get into is Cassidy Hutchinson. She gave the bombshell testimony into saying that Trump grabbed one of the Secret Service agents and was like, "Get me to the Capitol now." Let's watch her video. Let's go take a look at it.
Ms. Hutchinson, when you returned to the White House in the motorcade after the president's speech, where did you go?
When I returned to the White House, I walked upstairs towards the Chief of Staff's office, and I noticed Mr. Ornato lingering outside of the office. Once we had made eye contact, he quickly waved me to go into his office, which was just across the hall from mine. When I went in, he shut the door, and I noticed Bobby Engel, who is the head of Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he had said, "Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast?" I said, "No, Tony, I just got back. What happened?" Tony proceeded to tell me that when the president got in the Beast, he was under the impression from Mr. Meadows that the off-the-record movement to the Capitol was still possible and likely to happen, but that Bobby had more information. So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol, and when Bobby had relayed to him, "We don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing," the president had a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel, and when Mr. Ornato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
And was Mr. Engel in the room as Mr. Ornato told you this story?
He was.
Did Mr. Engel correct or disagree with any part of the story from Mr. Ornato?
Mr. Engel did not correct or disagree with any part of the story.
Did Mr. Engel or Mr. Ornato ever after that tell you that what Mr. Ornato had just said was untrue?
Neither Mr. Ornato nor Mr. Engel told me ever that it was untrue.
So let's stop it here. This lady she's out of her mind. Just her mannerisms that she's doing. She says that she's holding her hands. It's like Ricky Bobby saying, like, "I don't know what to do with my hands right now." Donald Trump grabbed his hands, and then he reached for his clavicle. If he was in the back seat, that doesn't really make sense, especially the way she was doing things. She was grabbing her left hand onto her right arm. She did this, and he pointed to her clavicle. She's literally saying that the guy that she's saying this happened to told another guy, and that other guy is telling her this story. That is literally the definition of hearsay. Let's pull up the definition of hearsay. So this is from Cornell Law Group. Hearsay is an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of whatever it asserts, which is then offered in evidence to prove the truth of the matter. The problem with hearsay is that when the person being quoted is not present, it becomes impossible to establish credibility. So why in the world are they using this? This is from the January 6th committee, but we all know how that was. They had 7 Democrats on it, 2 Republicans, and it was Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, and all of us know that they're establishment. And of course, they still use this hearsay. Somebody told me that told him that this happened. Oh, and another funny thing is that Miss Hutchinson, she came out with a book, and it was surprising because there were 10 companies that bought a large amount of the books, all funded by George Soros. Yeah, it all makes sense. It's all starting to come together. Another thing is that the pipe bombs that they were talking about. All of these pipe bombs, these 2 pipe bombs that were near the RNC and the DNC. Now we have video of a civilian closed Capitol Police officer going up to the Secret Service and telling them that there was a pipe bomb, and they just lollygag around. Nothing's going on. Some families go by. They all just do very minimalistic things, and they still have yet to find the guy that did it. Oh, and everybody that was there, all their text messages have been deleted. They try to get their text messages, and somehow they all just randomly got deleted. Every single one of them. Yeah, it's all starting to make sense. Let's take a look at that video of the pipe bomb. So if you look over in the right corner, you see the guy standing at the white patrol car, and he's letting them know, hey, there's a pipe bomb. He walks over to the passenger side, oh yeah, there's just a pipe bomb. No big deal. No big deal. It could just blow everybody up, and there's a person just walking across the screen there, and he's going to go over to the UC car, the black UC car, and he's going to go say something to them, and then he's just going to walk off. Nothing to see here. Nope. Family's just walking near it, walking near the pipe bomb. Yep. No, not stopping anybody, not setting up a perimeter, nothing. I'm pretty sure if somebody told us that we would be lights and sirens, setting up a perimeter. Nobody needs to come in around this area until we figure out what's going on. But that's just how it was played out. None of it just makes sense. Absolutely none of it makes sense. And another thing is the select committee, they came out and they doctored the videos of the people rioting inside the Capitol. They started adding sound. Let's take a look at that.
We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol to the upper level!
So you get the point. Everything that's happened is just, it's gotten out of hand because all of this stuff that has happened, everybody, whenever it was first coming out, everybody's, oh, conspiracy theorists, just throwing out stuff like that. The mainstream media was just constantly playing the conspiracy theory type things. But then once all this stuff starts coming up and it's slowly starting to come out and reveal what's really going on, they're still trying to push that, but I think people are starting to get the picture. People are starting to wake up and say, none of this adds up. Literally none of it. During those times, nothing added up. And it's crazy because they're doing the same thing with our economy right now. They're trying to say that everything's all great, the economy is great, whenever everybody is struggling to even buy groceries. We're at the highest point of credit card debt than ever in history. It's crazy to me the way that they've been doing this to us. I think what needs to happen is if Trump gets elected, he needs to get rid of everybody. We need to start fresh. We need people that are not establishment, like Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he would be a great vice president. I think that Trump would be crazy to not name him as his VP. Some people have been saying Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not the biggest Tulsi Gabbard fan. I like some of the stuff that she says, but I think she's got establishment in her. She's a politician. I think she tries to kiss up to too many people, and I don't really like that. And Vivek, he does not do that. I think he's 0% establishment. He doesn't care what anybody says. He's going to let the truth out, and he's going to give everybody the truth. So I think that Trump needs to get him in there. And honestly, we need to start putting terms on senators because they're out of hand. They're all establishment. Money goes a long ways. And I didn't realize we elected George Soros to be our government, to tell us what to do everything. Because if you look at everything, he's literally got his name attached to everything. Like the trials that are happening everywhere in the United States towards Trump, they're all backed by George Soros. Everything that has happened is all backed by George Soros. So I don't know. I would rather have a blue collar worker that's been working his entire life for $20 an hour rather than a career politician that's worth $200 million now because they played the stock market. That's, to me, I would rather have that blue collar worker because they're going to keep it straight. And if you pay them $100,000 a year, they're living great. They're living beyond their means. And I think that they would be less susceptible to corruption from George Soros. And just like Cassidy Hutchinson, her book just sells a large amount of copies to 10 companies, and it just so happens that they're owned by George Soros. So I think we need to get term limits. We need to get everybody out that's in there right now because they are doing an awful job at everything when it comes to the border crisis, when it comes to pretty much everything, the economy, everything. It's just they're constantly wanting to lie to us. And I think slowly but surely, everybody's starting to wake up to it. And I'm grateful for that because it's just, everything is just getting out of hand. But as we get more updates on this, which Speaker Johnson, he needs to release all of the footage like he said he was going to. They keep releasing more and more, but they still haven't released all of it, all the footage, and I want them to release all of it. Another thing that blows my mind is how can you say that Trump was a part of an insurrection when he wanted the National Guard to go to the Capitol on January 6th, but he was denied? How does that make sense? please, if nobody has been charged with an insurrection and all of a sudden you want to say Trump is an insurrectionist, make it make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Some people are saying, oh, it was a coup or a soft coup. They can't even tell you the definition of what a coup is. We have seen many of coups that, if you say that was a coup, then what about all the riots that took place, the mostly peaceful protests that took place in 2020, 2021, and 2019? What do you call those? I just brought up the definition of what an insurrection is. What do you call those? We're going to have to play fair here. If you're going to say that was an insurrection, then we're going to have to say the other stuff is an insurrection. Some people try to make the argument that it's because they delayed a judicial process for a few hours. Okay. That does not make it an insurrection. We just read the definition. Did Biden still get into office? Did Trump use the military to try to overtake the government? No, I don't think he did. So that's where it comes to, that these people's argument is just, it's mind-blowing, and it's crazy how they think that they try to morph everything into their own little definitions, that they say, oh, this is what an insurrection is. This is what a coup is. No, let's look at facts. Look at the facts. Stop trying to morph it into something else that it's not. Kind of like what Fani Willis is trying to do with the RICO Act, trying to morph it into something that is not. And look at the facts. That's all I'm asking. But that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to keep asking questions. I'll see y'all in the next one.